Can you see me? You should be able to see me, right?
No, I can't see you. All I see is your profile picture.
Oh.
There's a little camera icon down there you gotta hit.
Oh, I found it. There we go. All right, there we go. I thought you were watching a good... Damn, I had to pick my nose. I could have picked my nose. You wouldn't even know.
You doing it in disguise? There he is. What's up, buddy? Long time no see.
Dude, so I've been in a boot. I had surgery 2 weeks ago. So I've been in a boot. So I went to this Glock event the other day in my boot.
Dude, let's talk about this on the show. This sounds like good stuff for the show.
Okay.
Let's start recording. All right, so I'm just gonna run it in. I'm gonna roll this in right here. So welcome in, Leadheads. This is episode 330, the Talking Lead podcast, coming off the heels of our AK Corner. I know you guys are knee deep in our AK Corner segment, so make time for our regular segment as well. Break away from that AK Corner. We got a great show for you today. We got our good buddy Robb Manning, as you heard him talking there. He's getting ready to tell some stories. I thought we should just go ahead and start recording. So we don't want to miss any golden nuggets before we get started. So Robb is no stranger to the show. He's been on the show before. We were traveling partners to Poland. We went there and did a tour of the Pioneer Arms Factory. And he's been on the show a couple of times since then. So Robb, welcome in.
Hey, thanks, man. How you doing, Leadheads?
Man, like I said, it's been a while since you and I have talked, and I know there's been a lot has changed in your life since I think the last time you were on. Definitely. Yeah, we'll talk about that, and then you were getting ready to tell us a story about your boot cast here, while you're at the Glock release of their new G44, which we're going to talk about that today also, and a few other things. But before we do that, make sure you guys go and support those that support the Talking Lead podcast. You want to check out Kel-Tec Weapons. Speaking of 22s, they've got a couple of new 22s out. They've got the CP33, and they've got that new...
CP17, I think.
The P17, their 22 LR. Go check those out. But they have been running some great deals over this end of the year season, holiday specials. Go check them out. Their social media, Instagram, Facebook, of course, their website. And show them the love. Show them the Leadhead Brigade love. So, Robb, you had the prestigious pleasure to go and personally test this new G44 before it hit the market here. So we want to talk about that, but let's talk about this boot. So you were talking about your boot.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of a backstory on this boot.
Okay.
So I had surgery on my ankle 2 weeks ago, and the Glock event, of course, was last Monday, which was 1 week after my surgery. So I was still in my surgery boot. And one of my writers, he's a former writer of mine when I was editor at Gun World, he was there. And Sean Curtis, and he does a lot of writing for like Police One and all that. You guys can check him out there. He was there. But the funny thing is, 2 years ago, I was at another media event, and I had just had foot surgery back then. And he was there. And that was actually, he had been writing for me for about 6 months at that time. Yeah. But that's the first time we met face to face. So we're down in Florida, and we're at this media event, and there was like a hurricane like the week before. So everything was just complete swamp and mud. And here I am lumbering about in this boot, and the foam liner is getting all wet. And he called me Swamp Foot. And, and I tell you, by the end of the week, it smelled like Swamp Foot.
I'll bet. Yeah. Nasty.
Airplane, not that pleasurable for the lady sitting next to me either. So, but anyway, fast forward 2 years ago, and I show up at this event, and Sean is there again, and me with my boots. So he took a pretty cool picture of it both times, and so on my Instagram feed, you can see he did a little picture, half and half, old foot, new foot. It's kind of funny.
Nice. So all these foot problems that you're having, is this due to your many years of service in the military? Coming back to haunt you?
That's kind of the initial underlying problem, is that I was, and I don't blame the military, it was more of me. I was too stupid to go get stuff looked at by a doctor when I was in.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the foundation. In fact, when I first got out, I went and the doctor, I don't remember what the issue was, but he took an x-ray of it and he looked at it. He's like, "Did you shatter your ankles?" both my ankles are really bad.
Oh, damn.
But 2 years ago, I got my big toe. I got a new synthetic joint put in, and then this time I have all types of problems, man. I got ripped cartilage. Both my tendons are worn out. I had bone fragments in there. My bones themselves were all they had like sharp edges and stuff. And
were you a paratrooper or something? What? What the hell?
No, that's what I was.
What's that? An idiot?
So, like you have a 50-pound pack on and flak jacket, helmet, and my TO weapon when I was in the infantry was an M249. So with all that gear, hey, let's jump out the back of a 5-ton. Landing that shock on the ankles was not good. And then there was a period I ran for almost a full year on 2 sprained ankles. I'm sure that was probably not good for long-term ankle.
Well, so you're all better now, I guess, after these mini surgeries.
Yeah. Yes. Hopefully.
So you're rested. You're recouped from the Glock event, and that's something I want to talk about. I want to talk about this Glock event. I didn't get an invitation. I'm a little butthurt about that. I had to send Corey a message on that. I didn't know anything about it, but we're going to talk about that. But first, we've got to take care of some jackwagons, and we got to honor some heroes. So, Gunny, bring that train in.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the talking lead jackwagon of the week, so brace yourself, baby.
All right, so the train has stationed. We're going to take care of our jackwagons first. And I've got a couple here from you leadheads. I'm going to go to our mailbox. This one comes to us from Jason Farmer. And it says, Nerf gun grabbers. It says, hi, Lefty. I just came across an article this morning that I think deserves to go on the jackwagon. It's bad enough that the gun controllers are trying everything in their book to deny its citizens their constitutional rights. Now they are coming after our children's Nerf guns. Oh, gosh. The Empire State Consumer Protect, based in New York, has formally asked Hasbro to the makers of the iconic Nerf gun to stop using comedy to sell its machine guns, in quote.
Assault rifles.
The letter to Hasbro goes on to attempt to guilt Hasbro into stop the sales of the Nerf Ultra 1, the new Nerf gun released for Christmas. In the letter, they blame Hasbro for using comedy in their commercial to lure children in. Well, isn't it a toy? Isn't that their target audience? Okay. The letter goes so far to bring up school shootings and tries to tie them to Nerf products. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I find it disturbing and idiotic that the anti-gunners have extended their slimy tentacles to children's toys. Maybe they should worry about children being raised by iPads, Netflix, and video games instead of by responsible fathers and mothers teaching them wrong from right. By the way, I've already purchased Nerf's new evil, fully semi-automatic, clip-fed blaster and plan to enjoy firing it with my boys on Christmas morning. You go, Jason. Good job. Yeah, everybody should go out and buy one of those now.
I used to have a belt-fed, fully automatic Nerf machine gun.
Belt-fed?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty awesome.
Do you still have that?
I kind of do. So it's in my garage.
Yeah.
But I've had kids since I bought it, and they pretty much destroyed the whole thing.
Pieces and parts get displaced over years, don't they?
They do, yep.
So you guys can go find this on Ammo Land is the link that he sent. And you can read more about that. But again, this doesn't shock me. This doesn't surprise me, the levels that these idiots will go to, again, stymie not only ours, but our children's enjoyment of toys, for God's sake. It's a toy, you idiots. Leave them alone.
The irony is, if you go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 decades, they played with more toys that were like guns. Because there was like the Cowboys era.
No, dude. Well, I grew up with guns. I grew up with 6-shooters and toy shotguns. And Nerf was kind of new, I guess. I'm old.
that one gun that had the little caps where it was that little roll of paper and you roll it in the revolver. Remember those? Yeah.
Yeah.
You
get those in
we played
Gatlinburg.
with those big guns more then, and we had less shootings then. So,
well, you had more respect and understanding of what a firearm was.
Well, I think there were more people that were actually parenting back then.
Exactly. Yeah, and he goes on to say in his letter there about let the parents be parents and teach their kids responsibility from right from wrong. So that's a great one, Jason. Definitely Jackwagon worthy. Hopefully Hasbro will not give in to this. Apparently they haven't. If you were out buying that, and
that's a pretty big seller for them as Nerf guns. So I don't know. I mean, people are buckling right and left nowadays, but I don't know. That's a pretty big seller.
I mean, they're going to start going after squirt guns next. I mean, you think about it. You take all that away, then what's left? Then they're going to start throwing sticks and stones at each other. I mean, it's much safer to have a play gun,
Or like my middle son, his first week of kindergarten was out at recess, and so they took down half the recess equipment because it wasn't safe. And then they made like hopscotch patterns on the floor and did this little globe on the floor so that, they could do whatever, like boys want to play with that type of stuff, right?
Sure.
So my son grabs a stick and his other kid grabbed a stick and they had a sword fight and one of them got whacked. But the kid that got whacked, he didn't really care. He wasn't crying or anything. That's just part of the game, when you sword fight. But the teachers had a fit and it's like, oh my God, they got a stick as a sword. But my point is, take away whatever you want. Kids will find something to mimic a gun or a weapon because it's fun.
They will improvise. Absolutely. Yeah. There's no stopping imagination. And you can try and take all this away from us and from our children and, from society, but, there's no stopping imagination. So that's going to be a good Christmas at the Farmer household. You send some pictures of that, Jason, when they unwrap those. That'd be cool. All right. So, Rob, what about you? You got any Jackwagons for us to take care of this week?
I do. I actually have a couple here.
All right.
So, when as we discussed before the show, I went online to search for a Jackwagon, and I used DuckDuckGo because it's supposed to be better security than Google. And so I typed in anti-gun assholes, and the very first result is gun rights advocates are the world's biggest assholes from 2013. So DuckDuckGo, skip everything. It's 2019, so skip everything from now to then. They couldn't find any better returns that fit what I was searching for. Instead, they gave me something about how gun rights advocates are assholes.
Are assholes.
So the first Jackwagon is DuckDuckGo. And my second is this lady who wrote the article, and it's from Jezebel magazine or Jezebel.com, which, like I said, was my first return. And her name is Erin Gloria Ryan. I don't know if you actually run people's names on here, but
sure, why not? Yeah, we'll call her out. Whoop. And where is this? Jezebel, you said? And this was 19. What was the date?
2013.
2013. Okay, so geez.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Over years ago.
All right, so I don't really have any Jackwagons per se. I do have. I don't know if this guy's really a Jackwagon or not, but I saw this article, and I've read some stuff from this place before. It's the National Interest. They seem to do a lot of firearms type stories, but these guys don't really know what the fuck they're talking about. This is Charlie Gao. I don't know how you say that name, but their headlines are what really get, because they do those shock and awe kind of headlines to get you to read their stories. I think I did one of his a couple episodes back, and his headline had nothing to do with his story at all. This one is B&T VP9. This gun is a stealth assassination pistol. So then he goes on to talk about the VP9 and how it's actually being used by veterinarians to ethically put down, larger wounded animals like cows and horses and, things like that. And not necessarily here in America either. I think it's more over in Europe that they're using this for that.
Those are pretty expensive. Those guys must have pretty good budgets.
Well, I mean, since they're made over there too, they're probably cheaper over there. And I mean, they are veterinarians.
I believe it's Swiss B&T, if I remember correctly. And
yeah, it's
nothing in Switzerland is cheap.
It's called VETERINARPISTOLE 9. So Veterinary Pistoli.
That's not what I thought you had said. I thought you said B&T.
Yeah, B&T's VP9. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but it's apparently that name has something to do with, veterinarian. So they're using it for to put down animals, basically, is what they're using it for. But he goes and compares it to the Wellrod pistol that was a very famous World War II specialty assassination pistol. It was a integrally suppressed pistol. But anyway, I just wanted to call this guy out again on his tactics on writing articles and whatnot. So
at least he's not using those very dangerous assault Nerf guns.
Right. That I mean, he very well could have used that and talked about Nerf guns, and that would have fit his MO perfectly. But that's mine. That's all I've got really right now. You think anything else? Anybody else we need to call out? I mean, of course, the Trump is going to be put up for impeachment. That's going to go through. That's going to happen. So we got to go through all this bullshit. So I know none of us are happy about that. But again, we don't talk politics here, and there's other shows that do that well. So let's move on to our heroes. Let's talk some heroes now. And I want to start off. I'm going to start off with you. I'll let our guest go first. And Rob's got a couple of heroes here.
Just one right now. Once again, I would need to research a little more. The guy on the top of my head, since I was just at a Glock event, Gaston Glock. I think he has done a lot for the firearms industry and community. I think he completely... what's the word I'm looking for here?
Revolutionized?
Completely changed. Well, I'm just going to say he completely changed how gun manufacturing happens with his design.
He revolutionized it.
Yeah, revolutionized. There you go. Yeah. And the design itself is incredible because most designs at that time for semi-auto had between like 80 to 100 parts. And for him to come out with something with 34 parts is pretty incredible, I think. So I give props to him for that. And the other thing, talking with a lot of the Glock reps and stuff, he's like 80 some years old, and he is still very active in the company as far as like, making sure things are perfect. Mm-hmm. Because as they said, every gun that comes out of Smyrna, Georgia, and out of Austria has his name on it.
Yeah.
So he's very particular about that. And he was very active in the G44, as far as making sure it was just right before it got out the door.
Yeah. And he's survived a couple of assassination attempts too.
He has.
So
at least one.
Yeah. I was thinking there was another one at some point in time. There's probably been all kinds of things that he's gone through that we've not even heard of. But yeah, I mean, definitely, Gaston Glock revolutionized the pistol, the firearms pistol industry without question. I wish they would get into the damn rifle industry. Keep waiting.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking this event was going to be.
That's what the last 3 or 4 we thought they were going to be, and they keep giving us a twist there. But anyway, we're going to talk about that. So yeah, good nominee, Gaston. Welcome to the Lead Force One and Leadhead Brigade Heroes. This one comes to us from Leadhead Mark Peck, and it says, "Town of Heroes. Our town is the home of Joshua Watson, who was killed in the attack at Pensacola, NAS. When he was brought to town, many of our businesses shut down so employees could go out to show their respects. Main Street is about 8 blocks long, and it was packed shoulder to shoulder with standing room only on both sides as he passed. Of course, I want to nominate Joshua for his sacrifice, but also I want to nominate the whole community for the love, support that they expressed for the family. Absolutely, and we talked about those brave men last normal episode of the Talking Lead podcast, and we honored them all with rides on the Leadhead Brigade. But yes, the town with their support and showing up like this was amazing. So yeah, your whole town gets a ride on Lead Force One, Mark. So great nomination there, definitely. We need more towns like that. So my nominee is, and I was hoping to get her on the show one time. I've been tossing the idea around for a while, and I just kept putting it off, and regretfully doesn't look like I'm ever going to get her on. But is my grandmother. My grandmother is nearly 102 years old.
Wow, that is awesome.
And I just, it's amazing what she's been through and lived through and what she's seen in her lifetime. And I would love to get her on. She took a turn for the worse today. I got a call right before we started this show. And as soon as we get done, I'm heading out to go to the hospital where she's at. Hopefully she'll pull through. Yeah, hopefully she'll pull through, and we can still get her on. But my grandmother is the Leadhead Brigade hero, my choice this week, and for so many other reasons. I mean, raising 5 kids back in that era, that day, and there's so many other things that she's done in our community. She was a community leader. She was an elected official. She ran the newspaper there in our hometown. Just so many great things that my grandmother has done. So cross your fingers. I'm not saying she won't be on, and that won't happen. I'm not going to say that, but just everybody cross your fingers. I would love to get her on and let you talk to her personally. That's my goal. All right.
I'll pray for you, man.
I appreciate that. All right, so that's it for our Planes and Trains segment. Get the train out of here, Gunny. And Rob, our pilot for Lead Force One is the ghost of Charlton Heston. As strange as that may sound, we put it up for a vote. We had many nominees. I mean, Gary Sinise was on there. Sully was on as one of the nominees. You know, Sully is the guy who landed the plane in the in the river. Several other ones, but the ghost of Charlton Heston is the one who won.
I saw him once. Out in public.
The ghost? You saw the ghost of Charlton Heston?
No, just Charlton Heston.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. It's not Charlton Heston. It's the ghost of Charlton Heston. It's like if you thought Charlton Heston was a badass, he's even more badass as a ghost. So. You get that. And as a ghost doesn't even need a plane. You know, they're... But we make no sense sometimes on this show, but we have fun. So that's what matters.
That's right.
All right. So we want to talk what's going on with Robb Manning. Now, you used to be you said it earlier, you were the former editor of Gun World. And I don't think we've talked since then, but Gun World no longer exists. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Engaged Media shut down like 70% of their magazines, including, and not just on the gun side either. It wasn't a gun move, but on like the home and gardens type stuff. They shut all that down. So, and I believe they still have the website up. I'm kind of surprised they're not out of business, to be honest. I have no idea how they're bringing in revenue or where they're getting articles from, but Gun World was down for about like 2 months, and then it came back up again. But they've had like no new info, no new articles. So, yeah, I have no idea what's going on with them.
Yeah, and nor would I expect you to. But that in that time, I guess that you were in between that, you wrote a book.
I did,
and that's something that we want to talk about also. So let's talk about your new book that you've got out. I mean, it's been out for a couple of months now, right?
No, not quite that long. It actually, funny thing is, so it's a Glock Reference guide. It's the second edition.
Okay.
And I got my box from Amazon, from Gun Digest, which was about the same time it started shipping from Amazon. So I got my box of books the day before I got invited to the Glock media event where they released a new gun, which is not in my book.
Of course, right?
Yeah, and they did that to me last time with the G43. So
it'll fall into your third edition, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So this is your second edition. I think we talked about your first edition when you were on before.
Yes.
So talk about what's new and improved in the second edition here.
Well, I have in here basically everything that was in the first edition, with some little bit more in depth on that stuff, a little bit better photographs, and then everything. I think the last gun, so the G43 came out, and we actually had to do like a little digital addendum. So this includes that little addendum as part of the book now, and then I think like the G41 and G40 and all that had came out. So everything since then.
Yeah.
G48, the G43X, a couple of the ones that we cannot get here in the U.S., like the G46, those are all in here.
Okay. So let's start off with this. What made you want to write a Glock reference book, and what was your goal in doing a Glock reference book?
Well, Gun Digest, I'd been writing freelance for their magazine for a while, and they asked me if I wanted to write a book. And the two that they were looking at for me were, one was a Glock reference guide, and the second was an AR-15 reference guide. And at the time, I didn't have a lot of experience with Glock. I'd shot them a couple times, but very unfamiliar with them, and very familiar with the AR-15. So I wanted the AR-15 book, and naturally they chose the Glock book for me. So, so that was like I'd say like I just got like really up to my elbows in Glock, everything Glock. I shot everything they have, everything available on U.S. shores. There's like 3 models I haven't shot. I haven't shot the 17L. I haven't shot the G18, and I have not shot the G. Actually, no. Yep, those are the only 2 I have not shot up until.
You shot the G18.
No, that's the full auto.
Yeah, I know. Weren't you and I at the event where they released the G19X? Weren't we at that together?
No, we were there together.
Okay. Well, they had one there.
You must be thinking of another good-looking guy.
Well, we've been to. I think we were at the previous one together. The one they had before that.
This is the first Glock event. This one I was just at.
This is the first one you've been to?
First Glock event I've been to. Yep.
Okay. I was thinking that we had been to another. But anyway, they had them at that event, and we got to shoot the 18th, the full autos there. So there's one I've shot that you haven't shot.
Yeah, there you go.
But how did you go and track these guns down and find the information and research? And
most of them were, so at the time the Gen 3 and the Gen 4 were in production, and they sent me every model they make that it was in current production at the time. And then I went on a gun auction website and tracked down a Gen 1 G17 and a Gen 2 G17 and purchased those out of my own pocket and fired those. So, and I haven't shot, there's some Gen 2 G19s. I have not shot that.
Okay.
So I guess I'd have to throw that on the list. But
yeah,
as far as models, I've shot them all except for those 2 I mentioned. But, for generations, I haven't shot like every model through every generation.
Okay. But you've shot every generation, for the most part. You've had hands-on, you test them. So, I mean, in your opinion, looking at the Glock and the evolution from the Gen 1 to where they are now, I guess it's Gen 5, is that what they're calling it?
Yeah.
The Gen 5. Give me your assessment on the evolution of it.
Well,
of the Glock.
I would say for the most part, most of the evolution has been very positive. The Gen 2 is, for a lot of people, the Gen 2 is or I should say, for those shooters who were around back when the Gen 2 was introduced, the Gen 2 is still their favorite generation. It was a workhorse. It was a solid workhorse. And then the Gen 3, of course, they introduced the accessory rail, made some changes. The Gen 5, cosmetically, like as far as the grip and all that, is very similar to the Gen 2. So, like for me personally, in my mind, I'm thinking a Gen 5 is a Gen 2, but with an accessory rail.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have like the little the finger tabs on the grip and all that.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think the changes have been positive for the most part. Now, with Gen 5, there's a few things that I'm not sure about yet. I always believe in keep it simple principle, and that's kind of what Glock was founded on, was very few parts. But there was a few parts of the Gen 5 that went from 1 part to 3 parts. And, as far as that goes, I don't think I'm a very big fan of that. I like to keep it simple.
Sure. Now, another thing I've noticed is, in their evolution is the materials that they use, with the metals, with the coatings, the polymers, the plastics, as it seems like as better or new materials become available, they're implementing those into their firearms as well. Right.
Yeah. Thinking about it, technology has come a long ways since the 1980s, and polymer has come a long ways. So.
Right. And, it just kind of goes to the people that say, Glocks they keep doing the same old over and over again. But, they've got a tested, proven design. And, some people think that they just keep coming out with different calibers, different colors, different things like that. But they're actually, technologically wise, they are improving also. They're, like you said, they're implementing new metals, new coatings, new barrels, new twists, things like that. Different shapes. For the most part, the Glock's the Glock, but you can see over the years there's a change in the profile of the Glock. It's still a Glock, but it seems to have what's the word I want to use? Not really slimmed down, but it has kind of slimmed down over the years as well.
Yeah, like the slide is more rounded now. It's not quite as boxy as it was before.
Exactly.
But, some of it to me is kind of unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we live in a society where gun companies feel that they have to have something completely new every year for SHOT Show. Because, to be honest, and like the auto industry for a while, there's some companies that did they made just a few cars, and they did it really, really well. And for example, Honda, you can maybe even look at Toyota. They did one car or a handful of cars and did it very well. But then as they've expanded, sometimes the quality control, I think, goes down when you get away from what you do really well. And like, unfortunately, I think another example of that in the opposite direction is General Motors. I feel like the more cars they're adding, the worse they're getting. So you have more choices, but I don't feel it's necessarily a good thing. And with guns, a lot of companies feel inclined to have to release something every day because they got to be news. What's news? Yeah. What have you done for me? So they feel like they have to release something, but a lot of times it's not necessarily better than before. And with Glock, they don't do much. They do handguns. They do a specific handgun model, and I don't want to see that, as much as like I want a carbine and all this other stuff, but I don't want them to change it that much because I'm afraid the more they get away from doing the one thing really well, that it will take away from the quality of everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't think that and like you said, Gaston's very hands-on. He's still very much part of the company, and the quality is something that seems very important to him. And, when they come out with something, it's not, like some of these companies are, hey, we're coming out with this, and they just push it out to get it out. They've got things on the drawing board years ahead before they release them. And they're.
If there's one hit they usually take, it's being late. They don't release things when, and once again, us consumers in the gun industry, we want our change and we want it now. And so, when consumers want something like this 22, if they don't get it like right then, then Glock is late to the party. You know what I mean? So,
right. Which is what they're talking about with the 22, and we'll get into that. But
the 44 has been over 2 years in production. Just get it right.
Right, and that's my point. Is they will put the time into the R&D before they release something, and when they release it, they know it's solid. I can't think of very few instances, if any, of a Glock that was released that it was having major issues with something. Whether light strikes, the trigger, ejection, whatever it may be. You just don't hear that about a Glock when it's released. And, that's what we said. They do that pistol and they do it well. And they have varieties. They have come out with the varieties of all the different sizes, the different calibers in their gun and what they do right. And I understand what you're saying is like, well, if they start doing carbines, then maybe this is going to suffer. But I guarantee you that as long as they stick with their model, like they do with their pistols, they could very well come out and do a carbine and do it really well. I'm sure they do. And again, they're not rushing to get to the market on it because the carbines have been out for a while. There are several companies that have the carbines. And just like what we're going to talk about now, they're 22. Glock has been around, like you said, since the 80s, and this is their first 22 long offering to the market. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about let's just start off with the event invitation that you got. Walk us through that, and then we'll just kind of chronologically go through the event and to the release of the 22.
Well, the event, it used words like legendary and all of this, and of course, it didn't tell us what it was going to be. Yeah. But so us gun writers are of course, very analytical, and my military background also, former Intel, so I'm a very analytical guy. So automatically, I'm thinking, what is it going to be? What is it going to be? And it's kind of a funny story. I read into everything. I look into these little tidbits. And so as we're sitting in the media room looking at this presentation, there was a letter from Gaston that the president in Austria read to us, and it used one of the things that it mentioned was, we wanted to show the world that, we're more than a pistol company, we're a family. Mm-hmm. So I didn't, I ignored the family part. I focused in on more than a pistol company. So I'm thinking, okay, it's the carbine. Because that was pretty much like all of us writers were getting around, we had pretty much decided like 100% is going to be a carbine, right?
Yeah.
And then, so about a minute or two after that, in this other slide presentation, it mentioned something about opening up a new, the new firearm would open up a new category of ammunition for Glock. So I'm thinking, okay, I already know it's a carbine. Then I start thinking, okay, a new category of ammunition. So it's not a 9mm. And at that point, I about lost it. Like inside, I became giddy because I'm thinking
223.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, so we underestimated what they're doing. This is going to be a 5.56 type carbine, maybe something like the Beretta Storm, or some high tech carbine. I knew it wouldn't be an AR-15.
High tech, more compact kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, or a bullpup. I'm like, it's going to be 5.56, because in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so they have 70% of the handgun market for law enforcement in our country, and they have military contracts throughout the world for handguns. And I'm thinking, okay, they have that market. They want the military carbine market now. So that about blew my mind. I'm like, oh my God, it's a 5.56. Inside, of course,
sure.
I'm yelling.
Yeah.
And then, so the G44 came out, and it was the 22. So I have been I've wanted a 22 for a long time. And at the end of my book, I always kind of have like a wish list of like what I want next from Glock. And that 22 is always like top 3. So as excited as I was about the G44 being a 22, I have to admit I was a little bit let down that it was not the 5.56 carbine that I had built up in my mind.
Sure. I mean, I can feel you because, like I said, the last couple of events that I was invited to, that was on the back of my mind too. I was like, I really want it to be this, but I don't think it's going to be. But and they always say when you ask them about it, they don't ever deny it. They never deny it.
Yes, that's true. That's true. They don't. Well, they don't really. Yeah, they don't really. They won't give you any hints.
They're good.
He's got some tight locks on his people, I tell you.
Yeah, and Josh is good too. He's got a good poker face too, and Corey.
Yes,
but
yes, he does.
so you're invited to this event. When did you realize that it was going to be a 22? I mean, you didn't know until everybody else knew, because they were doing this live, right? They were doing this social media live.
Right. Yeah, I learned about it the same time everybody else did.
Yeah,
I was just in the room.
So talk about, because I didn't watch it, I didn't see it. Talk about how they built up the the anticipation and then the reveal. Talk about that. What did they do?
Well, most of the videos, you can actually find them on their website. Mm-hmm. And in fact, on the live announcement they had, that's still on there too. And if you look, there's the back of us, but on the left-hand side, I'm like over towards I don't remember if I'm like the second or third person from the left. You see like the shadow of me sitting there in front of the stage.
Yeah. And they did this in Florida?
No, this is in Georgia.
They did this in Georgia. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, not far from Smyrna.
Yeah.
Another little side. I always get sidetracked. My mind,
No, squirrel. We're all about squirrels on this show.
So that the very first episode of The Walking Dead, when he shoots that little girl at that gas station, that's like 8 minutes from where we were.
Oh,
so
cool.
We're all right there. Yeah, my brother-in-law lives there. That's why I know that. He drove me by there.
So you're down there by The Walking Dead. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, they film it all through the area. So when you're driving through that area, like you're expecting Rick or some walkers or something to come out of the woods.
Right. Daryl riding his bike through or something.
But anyway, getting back to this event, most of the videos you can find on their website now, but the lead up to it was, they kind of got into their history and what they've done, and the kind of what this new mysterious firearm was going to do, and this and that. And it was pretty neat videos. It was very unspecific. There were no teasers in the video or anything like that. They just, it was like families out shooting.
So let me get this straight. So were you watching a video, or was someone there live presenting and talking this to you?
Well, I mean, for us, I don't know if they showed us on the live video feed or not, but when we were there, they showed us all these videos, high production quality videos first. Then the president of Glock Austria came out on stage, and he read a letter from Gaston. And I'm, to be honest, I'm not even sure what time the live feed kicked in on that.
Yeah.
But then, of course, they did the live feed and then the announcement.
Okay. Did the live feed, and how did they unveil the 22? It
was in the video. It was it's a G44.
Okay. So the video actually revealed it, and then they came out and showed you the real thing on stage or whatever.
Well, yeah. Right after the announcement was made, they had a panel of Corey and a few other their shooters, the engineer. Here's another funny story. You said your listeners like little sidetrack stories.
Yeah.
One of the guys on there.
Well, I don't know if they do, Gunner, but I do.
That's all it's for, right?
Right.
Forget about listeners. So anyway,
it's all about me.
Marine Corps gunner Christian Wade. He helped with testing of it and all that. And that name sounded really familiar to me. I'm like, man, I know that name. And then afterwards, it kind of dawned on me. One of my friends, when I was in the infantry, he was buddies with him. So this guy used to stop by the barracks every once in a while. So after the panel, I walked up to him, and I still wasn't 100% sure it was the same guy or not. But I said, hey, do you know so-and-so? And he's like, oh, yeah, I do. And as I said, it turns out we kind of served together. And his younger brother actually came to my unit, and I think we were there together for 6 months or so before I made a lab move in Intel. But it's kind of one of those small world stories.
Yeah, definitely. It's very cool. So Chuck Norris wasn't there? I mean, that would have been like Chuck Norris coming out, doing some kicks with it or something like that. And
they invited him, and my understanding is he was going to be there, but there was I don't remember what they said it was. I don't remember if it was like one of his family members had a birthday or something like that. And I don't remember if it was I don't know. It was somebody that had a birthday or something. At least that's what they told us.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to be there, but he wasn't. But they did give us a little card with a picture of him, and he autographed it for us.
Oh, that's nice. Nice little token.
Yeah.
So
we got some of the water. He has C-Force water.
His what? Say it again.
C-Force. Chuck Force. C-Force water. Little bottled water.
Oh.
He gave us some of that.
Okay. Did you drink it?
I did. And you have to be careful because I drank it and then belched, and California went off the West Coast and sent. So.
Oh, gotcha. It's because it's Chuck Norris strong.
It's because it's Chuck Norris. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So is that just regular water, or was there something in it? Is it actually his brand of water? Or?
Yeah, it's his brand. It's got like his little signature on it and everything. We were kind of joking, a lot of us gun riders, kind of coming up with some Chuck Norris memes and things like that. And we were thinking they should have him like walk up to the Hoover Dam, and kick it and have all the water jump into bottles. We thought that would be like commercial.
that would be great.
Makes the water.
That's perfect. So they unveil it. You guys are there. I mean, obviously you're like, all right, we want to shoot this thing now. Well, what they have set up for you guys to do as far as doing the test and evaluation on the shooting?
So after we left the launch event, we went to the other room. We had staged our gear. We had breakfast over in this other room, and they brought us back, and we were kind of lingering there for a while. People were chatting, talking, socializing. And they had I believe 6 or 7 of them in this little back room area that we could go back and take pictures. And at this point, it'd been announced to the world, so we could post it, we could do whatever. So we were taking photos and posting them on Instagram and Facebook and all that. Got to play with the magazines a little bit. They had the threaded barrel there. Got to play with that a little bit.
Okay, so there is a threaded barrel.
Yes.
Okay.
Threaded barrel. It's going to be $150. I believe they said is the MSRP.
Okay, good. That addresses a lot of people's gripes right there.
What's that?
I said that addresses a lot of people's gripes right there. Because
yeah, and they'll be shipping one to me. Like I should get it in the next couple of days so I can test it. Mm-hmm. But that was one of the things when they tested 22 ammo is that they made sure it worked good with subsonic ammo, which I thought was pretty cool. So, but yeah, they will have barrels, threaded barrels, and they will have them now. When the gun is released, they will have them.
Okay.
That you can purchase. So it won't be one of those things like they'll be available 2 years down the road.
Well, that's one of the big gripes that I've seen from people is that, it doesn't even have a threaded barrel. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, well.
If it had a threaded barrel, people would gripe that it had one and they wished it didn't.
Yeah. But, I mean, they've got it both ways now. So that's cool. Yeah. So you got to shoot it. Personal, give us your personal opinion on it.
Well,
hold no punches.
No punches, of course not.
No, don't hold anything back.
I have shot most 22. Well, I shouldn't say most. I've shot a good percentage of the 22 handguns on the market, and there's kind of a couple different. I look at it as like a couple of different groupings of them. So you have some of them that look like the Ruger Mark IV, the Browning Buckmark, Smith & Wesson Victory. They kind of look like 22s. They have instead of like a full slide, it's like a half slide, or in the case of the Ruger, it's got like the little cylinder receiver with the bolt, like a rifle.
Yeah.
So you kind of have that group, and I kind of don't look at those. I compare it to the group that looks like a semi-automatic handgun.
Yeah.
So
like
of
the Kel-Tecs.
To me, my first thought was most of those feel kind of like a replica gun, a replica of something else that company already has in their product line. Because there's always a difference. It's like there's a fixed barrel, or there's a little bit smaller maybe. There's always a few little things that make it different from the other guns in their lineup. And they also feel a little cheaper. They, to be honest, because most of those companies have always had another company make their 22s for them. And it's generally one of the companies that also makes air guns. Mm-hmm. And to me, those 22s always felt a little bit less than the centerfire handguns in their lineup. The G44, to me, it's a Glock that's chambered in 22. So it does not feel like a chintzy 22 handgun. Now, the slide is part polymer, part metal. So obviously it's lighter because it's a 22, right? It's not going to cycle properly if it's a standard all metal Glock slide. So part of it is polymer. So the gun is lighter, but it still feels that guac. It says guacamole.
Guacamole.
Glock. It still has that Glock quality and feel. It feels like a true Glock that's chambered in 22. And the reason is because it actually is a Glock. It uses the same exact design as the other Glocks. There's no fixed barrel. It's got the drop tilting barrel.
Yeah.
Magazine, there's no magazine shut off. If there's no magazine, if you remove the magazine, still fires, has all the same Glock features.
Yeah. Now, is it the proprietary magazines for this 22 or? Yes,
so, they are.
And they've got some kind of a special design on these 22 magazines too, right? Talk about that.
They do. It is actually dimensionally, it's a G19 magazine. In fact, I can stick a G19 mag in the G44 and it fits perfectly, locks in place. I cannot, however, the G44, it'll fit into the mag well, but for whatever reason, I haven't got that depth in the takedown yet, so I haven't figured out why, but it will not properly lock into place. There's like some wiggle.
Okay.
But
that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it is a kind of a G19 magazine. It's got a window on the side, and then it has the magazine feed assist or load assist levers on the side, and they're both big. I don't know if you can see them here. I'm showing you on the camera, so you can see it.
Yeah.
But they're kind of big, so you can get a good grip on them. Like if it's cold outside, you have gloves, you'll still be able to use the load assist levers.
So what he's talking about, guys, is so the window. You're familiar with window magazines. What they've done is they've actually put a feed assist mechanism on the side of that. So as you're feeding those smaller 22s in, you know how hard it is to load a 22. It just gives you the ability to pull the spring down and release some of that tension so that you can get those 22s in a little easier, a little smoother.
Right.
So as you're loading them, you're putting this down on a flat surface, and you're putting your index finger and your thumb on that guide rod, I guess is what you call it, slide, and then just pulling it down and then loading them in. So, I mean, it's different. Is anybody else doing that you know? I don't think any.
Oh yeah, I think most companies nowadays do that.
They have that little for the 22s.
Yeah, the load assist. Yeah, most of them do because it's, the 22 is kind of small, and if you're loading a lot of them, after a while, your thumb kind of gets a little sore.
Yeah.
I think most modern ones do. Some of the older ones do not, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah. So that's a feature that they've got on there. They've got adjustable sights, rear sights on the 22.
Yep.
What other features are we missing on this?
Let me think here. So there's not a whole lot of differences. One of the few differences is on the barrel, towards the rear of the gun on top. There's a view hole so that you can see that there's a 22 round loaded in the chamber.
Okay. Yeah.
That's one of the differences between a standard Glock. And I wonder if they did that because obviously a lot of younger and new shooters are going to be using this and might want to do a visible check instead of a press check.
Mm-hmm.
So
or maybe it's something they're trying out on this and they're going to start doing that on other future guns too.
Yeah. That thought did cross my mind.
That would be cool. Yep. So weight wise, in your hand, you said it still feels like a Glock. It's got a good feel.
Well,
for a 22, how's the weight?
It's about half the weight of a standard Glock.
Okay.
And it's all designed, it's all due to the slide. The frame on it is pretty much a G19 frame. It's dimensionally speaking anyway. It has a few differences, but not a whole lot. And I took it apart and looked. The locking block, my mind goes blank. Yeah. The locking block on it is polymer. And that area of the frame where the locking block is located at has a little bit of a different cut to it.
Right.
So it does look a little different. But for the most part, it's the same. And of course, the barrel is a lot thinner. It's like a little pencil barrel. Yeah. So like the chamber block area, the lock on the barrel is about the same size, has a little bit different feed ramp, but then the barrel is super small. And it does have the Glock Marksman barrel, the GMB barrel.
Mm-hmm.
So it is accurate. It's got a little crown in the end of the barrel.
Yeah. They started doing it in their Gen 5s. Yeah. Very nice.
Right.
Now,
so I did completely disassemble most of it, not all of it,
mm-hmm.
but to me, most of these parts look very similar to G19 parts. Some of the model numbers are a little bit different. So I did send a email to Brandy and asked her what kind of parts commonality they have between the G19 and the G44. And then the other thing too, for those that have been through the Armorer's course, the new books will start shipping, I believe they said after the new year, and the new books will have the armor / gunsmith takedown for the G44.
Oh, nice.
So, and then they're going to send me the same book. I just recertified in that course last spring. So they will send me the book, and it'll kind of tell me different parts changes as well.
Good point. Yeah. Now, another thing that people are tearing the internet up over the 44 is the capacity. It's coming with 10-round magazines, and people are just like,
right.
10 rounds of 22, what's the point? Are there... Yeah, go ahead.
That was one of the very first things I brought up to Glock. From at that point, this was before I shot it, but at that point, I thought all of it looked great, and I told him if I have one critique, it's that it's a 10-round magazine. And why not 15? The G19 comes with 15. There are a few... traditionally, pretty much every 22 handgun has been 10 rounds. But there are a few on the market now starting to trickle up 12 round and 16 round.
How about 33 rounds?
Yeah, but that's a little bit of a different category of gun, though. And that's pretty awesome. I've heard it's a great gun. But, that is a little bit different category of gun because it looks more like a personal defense weapon than a traditional semi-auto.
Well, their CP33 is more of a competition style gun. I will grant you that.
It looks like a little mini Uzi type thing because it comes out the back. You know what I mean? So to me, it looks more like a personal defense type weapon.
Well, it's kind of like their 22 Magnum that they got, the PMR 30. It holds 30 rounds of.
Yeah, that looks more like a traditional handgun.
Yeah, so you're getting into the 30 round capacity there too. But their new 17, I think it's 17 rounds. I think is what it holds. But anyway, they could have, I think easily done more than 10 rounds. And
that was one of the first things I brought up, like I said, and what they told me is that throughout the design, and they set out with the intent of making it a higher capacity, but with the design they were working with, the Glock G19 frame, with what they had, they couldn't get it to perform with Glock reliability if they had more than 10 rounds.
Yeah.
And also another thing, they used pretty much every manufacturer, make and model of 22 ammo on the market, including subsonic. So they designed this to shoot with everything on the market and have that Glock reliability, which it's, most 22 handguns aren't able to do that. I've shot a lot of them, and there's such a variance in 22, the cartridge itself, the manufacturing process, it's very dirty, and there's a lot of differences between from maker to maker. And that's kind of, anybody who's been around a lot of 22 handguns, they always tell you, it's not going to work perfectly with everything. You're going to have a lot of malfunctions, but once you find that, one or two types of ammo, that's pretty much what you stick with.
Sure.
And most people know that. Some of it might not work with Winchester White Box, or it might not work with Remington or whatever. But they designed this to work with everything and have that Glock reliability, and that's why it's 10 rounds and not higher.
Yeah.
So
okay. Now, was there talk of them coming out with an extended magazine for this?
They did not. No, they did not say anything to that nature. But us gun writers are all like, it's only a matter of time.
Aftermarket's going to eat that up. Yeah, there's going to be somebody come out and really fill that gap. No problem. Now,
I give it like 2-3 months, and somebody will have something.
Yeah. Now another thing is, it's my understanding,
aren't necessarily concerned about Glock reliability. They want you to buy the magazine.
Yeah,
it's going to work good. If Magpul's selling a Glock magazine for the G44, it's going to work good. Yeah. But they're not like it's not their name on the gun, so they're not going to be as concerned about that as Glock is.
Yeah. But if they want to sell them, then it needs to work, or they're not going to sell them. Because people are going to say these don't work, so don't buy them. Now, the question I had was another thing that I've seen is that this hasn't been fitted for an RMR, red dot.
Correct.
Is that due to the extra weight that would add to the slide, and thus, as far as the cycling goes, would affect the cycling, or was that even a concern or thought of theirs?
I don't know what their thought process was on that. I mean, I'm sure there's, some kind of question. They would have to make some changes to offset that weight. But, I mean, my thinking is this pistol is just the first 22 out of a whole line of 22s.
Right.
Because I'm thinking there's going to be like a G34 size 22 for competitors, and that'll be an MOS. And this is just me speculating. Glock didn't say any of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's probably a G17 size. There'll be a G34 size. I would love to see like a little G42 size. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, it's Glock, and then that's what they do. So this is their initial launch, and then I think we'll see different iterations of it over the next coming, I would say as early as SHOT Show. Maybe they'll have even another one. I don't know, but who knows?
There is a little paint on top of the slide, and I have not figured out what that is yet. I don't know. Can you see that?
Yeah, there's a little cutout right there. It's like, so it's
I've
like
not figured out what that is.
When you buy a new car and you've got all your buttons, and then there's this one slot that's filled in where you could put a button. It's like
it's got to be for something.
Coming soon. Yeah, that's interesting. Very cool. So yeah, I mean, it's for all the complaints and everything that I've seen. I mean, it's Glock, and this is how they've operated from day one. This is what they do, and they've been very successful at it. And they've got the people that bitch and moan and complain, and then they come out with something to satisfy that. It's just, hey, it's coming, it's in the mail. Just be patient.
On my social media, it's really been about half. Half the people love it, and half people are complaining about it. But about half of the people complaining said they'll still buy one. So
yep, exactly. It's like, I'm still going to get it, but
despite the complaints, I honestly think Glock will sell boatloads of these things, and I don't know for a fact. Like Glockmeister, Glock Store, some of the online sources have already filled up with pre-orders.
Yeah,
so
and I think MSRP is like what, $439, and then probably street values on it like going to be like $350 or something.
The street value they're estimating around $370. The blue box price for military and law enforcement is $350.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Another present. I mean, if you're looking for a present, a gift for Christmas. I mean, you probably won't get it in time for Christmas, but
it's not hitting shelves until January 20th.
Oh, okay. So, that'll be like around SHOT Show.
Yeah. But and the cool thing is too, it'll fit G19 magazines. It's designed that you can use this for training. A lot cheaper, shoot more rounds, more repetition, and for new shooters, it'll give them a feel of a G19, but without the recoil, which I think is pretty important. Kind of get those new, especially the young kids. Get them out there with their parents, give them a little taste of shooting, and hopefully they'll want more and we'll get more people in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I'm seeing this as is getting that new shooter involved, the younger new shooter, or maybe the more dainty shooter females that maybe the 9s are still too much for them, or 380 still too much for them. Then this, like you said, it gets them in that model of the Glock, and as they move up, they're not going to lose much in the feel of it. It's still going to feel like what they cut their teeth on. So as they move up to the 19, there's not much difference there. So,
right.
But yeah, man, I'm excited. I was excited to hear about it. I'm glad to hear that there is a threaded barrel. That's going to be key. Now, did you get to shoot it suppressed? Did they have it?
No, they did not have a suppressor there. They on the firing line. And they did not have the threaded barrel. That was behind the scenes. They showed us that they're available.
Okay.
But I imagine since they didn't have suppressors there, that what's the point in the threaded barrel if they don't have a suppressor?
Yeah. Well, Yeah, and that's something I'd like to try out too. Is try it out suppressed. But very cool, man. Anything else about the event that stood out that you want to talk about?
3 years, I got to meet Such for the first time. I've seen him around quite a bit. First time meeting him. Super nice guy.
Got to meet Such. Don,
yeah.
Good old Don. Was he smoking his cigar while he was there?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been on the show a few times. He's a good dude. We like Don. We like the Such.
Yeah, a lot of really, really good people there.
Was Hickok there?
No, he was not.
Hickok wasn't there. I like to see him shoot one of those. His big old hands on that. So, very good, guys. So you can go to Glock's website. You can go to, do you have videos and things up on your social media? What's your social media?
My Instagram is ROBB_MANNING. And so the YouTube video I wanted to get word out right away. So I threw together this very, very hasty video. And I think on my channel is like somewhere between 500 and 600 videos. I lost count because since being an editor, I couldn't do my personal YouTube channel.
Right.
So that fell to the wayside, and I really haven't updated it. So, but my video approval rate is typically 93% across all of my videos. I got like 14,000 subs, so it's pretty small still. But I did the hasty video, and it has gotten blown apart because it looks like crap. The video quality looks like crap.
Okay.
So, I don't know if it's a video quality or if it's all the people that are upset that it's a 22 caliber. I'm not sure. So it was.
What is your YouTube channel?
762 by 51N80, and it's a letter N, number 8, letter O.
All right, there's 762 by 51N80 is Rob's YouTube page, and I'm going there right now. Glock 44 exclusive, shooting and first impressions?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
For your listeners out there, do not judge my channel by this one video. I was just trying to get the word out there. So it looks like, the video looks like
That's
crap.
fine. That's fine. They'll understand. But, it's to give you an idea of what he's talking about and his first impressions of it. So go check that out and follow him on Instagram. So the book, where can people go and get the second edition of the Glock Reference book?
You can go to gundigest.com or amazon.com, or I believe pretty much most online retailers have it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been to Barnes & Noble, a physical brick and mortar store, and they do carry it. However, it's usually sold out because it's a gun book. They probably don't order a whole lot of them,
right.
But I have seen it there. My CZ book I see there, but usually sold out.
Okay.
You can also go like Bass Pro, Cabela's, those type of
places. But another great
Yeah.
stocking stuffer. You guys probably would be able to get that if you went and ordered it now, get it in time for Christmas. And it's the Glock Reference Book, second edition by Robb Manning. Is that produced? Guide. Reference Guide.
Yes, from Gun Digest.
But look for Robb Manning's name on that, and you'll know you got the right one there. Well, very good. Rob, thank you for taking the time to be on and sharing that experience with us. I know the lead heads have been wanting to talk about this 22 for a little bit since it's been released. And before I got any of the Glock people on here, I wanted to get somebody's firsthand experience and feedback on it. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job with it. Like I said, I do wish it was a higher capacity magazine. But other than that, I think they did a very, very good job on making the gun. It is a Glock pistol, right. And it's unmistakably a Glock, which is a good thing. They've done pretty well.
Yeah. And I meant to ask you this too. They're not going to be doing like specific ammo for this, right? They're not going to have somebody make specific because you said it cycles everything, so there's really no need for them.
Yeah, they tested everything with it, and they put a lot of rounds to it. The morning of the day we shot, there's distributors and stuff there, and they took them the range earlier in the morning. And I don't know how many pistols they had there. I'm guessing like around 15 pistols maybe at the firing line, and they put 5,000 rounds through those 15 pistols.
Oh wow!
So they were really, really gunked up by the time we got there. They had carbon built up on a feed ramp. It was pretty thick. I got a picture of it. It's pretty thick.
Very cool. So here's what I'm going to do, Rob. I have been in partnership with Mission First Tactical, and they are making minimalist wallets and tactical dump trays with the Talking Lead logos on there. And I've got some wallets and I've got some trays that I want to give away. So what I'm going to do is, for you listeners, go to Rob's video that we just talked about of him shooting the Glock 44, and it's called the Glock 44 Exclusive Shooting and First Impressions. And we told you it's 762X51 N80. 762 by 51 N80, like NATO, but not. You'll find it. You should be able to find it. If you can't, then just email me, private message me, and I'll send you a link to it or whatever. Watch his video. In that video of his Glock 44 exclusive, he talks about the magazine, and there's something specific about the magazine that Rob really likes. So take note of that, and then also, how many shots does Rob fire from the G44? So after you watch that video, you're going to go to Rob's Instagram page, okay? You're going to like him and follow him on Facebook, on YouTube and on Instagram, and then you're going to leave a comment. He's going to repost the show link that I post on Instagram, okay? And then under his Instagram post of this episode, TLP 330, that's a kind of a monumental episode there, 330 episodes. Nice. Just realized that. Put your answers there. Put, what he liked about the magazine and how many shots he fired. And then I want you to do hashtag Leadhead Brigade and then hashtag Robb Manning. ROBBMANNING. And hashtag Glock 44. How about that?
So 5 minutes ago, you told me you don't care about the listeners, and now all of a sudden you want to make it easy for people, right? Come on, man.
I want to get some stuff away. So we're going to be picking, let's say 3 winners from that, and you're going to get a Talking Lead minimalist wallet of my choosing. I've got 3 different logos that I'll be sending you, and that's what you got to do. Watch the video, get the right answers, post it on his Instagram. That easy. So there you go. And then, of course, the Kel-Tec CP33 giveaway, details coming soon. So stay tuned for that. We're going to get Chad and the gang from Kel-Tec on, and we're going to have fun with that. So probably going to be towards the new year before we give that away, obviously now. But that is still going to happen. Make sure you go support those that support this show. Obviously, Kel-Tec Weapons, keltecweapons.com. Modern Spartan Systems. Don't just clean your firearms. Modernize, optimize them with Modern Spartan Systems line of cleaning products, and of course their TVT engine oil additive for all your engine needs. Century Arms, sponsors of the Talking Lead AK Corner, just released. If you hadn't listened to that yet, go listen to it. We talk and this is something you might have been interested in. I probably should have got you in on this episode. The challenges and how to overcome the challenges of suppressing an AK-47.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we had a bunch of eggheads on that episode. Make sure you go back, check it out. And, of course, we gave away a Canic TP9 during that episode. So one of you lucky leadheads, if you haven't listened and found out you were the winner yet, you're going to go back and listen to that. U.S. Palm and Red Army Standard. And, of course, our newest sponsors, Fiocchi Ammunition. Should be getting some new 300 Blackout I'm going to be using on my hunting trips coming up from those guys. So check them out. And Buck Knives, the official lead quarters for the 2020 SHOT Show. We will be at Buck Knives again this year. So, Rob, if you're at SHOT Show, make sure you come by, see us at the Buck Knives booth.
I'll do that.
Yeah. And again, it was a pleasure having you on. And I know you know a lot about AK, so maybe we'll get you on the AK corner and we'll talk AKs.
I'm actually kind of new to the AK because I studied a lot about it since I've started, but I'm fairly new because I was always a AR guy and really haven't handled a lot of AKs until we went to Pioneer Arms in Poland, and now I've just became a huge AK guy and bought them since then. In fact, just last week I got my can out of jail. My stamp came in. So I have a Dead Air Wolverine.
We talked. So that was one of our guests on the past AK Corner. We had Mike Pappas with Dead Air on. And
Mike's a great guy.
He's an awesome dude. And we talked about his Wolverine, definitely. So very cool. All right, guys. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. If I don't get another episode out between now and then, and shoot me those questions. TalkingLead@gmail.com, your Jackwagon nominations, your Leadhead Brigade heroes, topics for the show you'd like us to talk about. TalkingLead@gmail.com, or if you just want to say, hey, you suck, that's great too. Send me an email saying that. Love to hear from you either way. Rob, again, thank you so much. Talk about getting you on the AK Corner coming up, because that's what it's all about. It's all about introducing the AK to everyone. Everybody needs to learn more about the AK-47.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank you for having me on, and I would like to thank your listeners for tolerating me being on here.
Well, I'm sure they thoroughly have enjoyed it. If you did, then shoot Rob some messages over on Instagram. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you, Leadheads.
So I'm writing an article about this. Your listeners can see the article in Gun Digest magazine, and it will be in the SHOT Show issue. So if any of them are at SHOT Show, they'll be able to swing by the Gun Digest booth and pick up a copy.
Okay.
And then within the next 1 to 2 weeks, I will also be shooting a video of a thorough review of the G44, and I'll be putting that on my YouTube page.
Very cool. Some things to look forward to there from Rob, and maybe we can scooch a couple of those magazines for you Leadheads that can't make it to SHOT Show, and we'll do a little giveaway for those too. But until then, as always, Leadheads, keep your loved ones close.
And your firearms closer.
And your Glock Reference Guide.
2nd edition.
Even closer.
Yeah, baby.